Hello, welcome to my channel Tall Talks from a Short Lady. In this video on technical writing, I'm going to be talking about how to use different class categories to frame a definition. First, I would start with the definition of a class. A class means a group, collection, category, or set sharing similar characteristics or attributes. So let us take an example. A tiger belongs to the class of carnivores, a rose belongs to the class of flowers, and a bus might belong to the class of vehicles. So now that we have spoken about class categories, first I would like to start with the analogous era, and I'll be showing a list of class words often used in the past and they are used in the present too. So starting with the first one, I'm going to be talking about a tool. A tool is a device. It is usually without any kind of moving parts. It is generally handheld and it is used for any kind of manual labor. A good example would be a hammer, a knife, and a screwdriver. Please note, none of these tools have any moving parts. Next, I would like to talk about an instrument. An instrument is a device which contains sensitive material. For example, it can have mercury or alcohol or metal strips which are sensitive to heat. It generally measures or records, or it can do both. Most of the time, an instrument has calibrations or markings at regular intervals. Sometimes, distance-related devices are also included under instruments. We can take the example of a telescope or a microscope. These come under the category of instruments as they have lenses which again have focal distances. Similarly, if you're talking about a handset like a telephone or a cell phone, these are also distance-related and hence they come under the category of instruments. Lastly, all musical devices are also included under instruments. Let us take a few examples here. We have the thermometer, which is an instrument. We have the microscope, and as I said, anything with a focal length, anything that relates to distance comes under instruments. We have a scale or a ruler with etchings, markings on it. Here is a cell phone, which is again distance related. And last of all, we have a guitar, which is a musical instrument. Moving on to the third category that I'm going to be talking about, this is an apparatus. So an apparatus can be a number of devices which are assembled for a purpose. It can be for something like boiling water and condensing it to get distilled water. Mostly apparatus are used in laboratories, and a single apparatus can also be included under apparatus, for example, a test tube or a conical flask. Here are examples. This entire setup is known as an apparatus, but again, a single conical flask will also come under the category of apparatus. Moving on to the next class of machines. A machine is a device which is mechanical in nature. That means it runs on the principles of mechanics. It provides power as output, and it is made of interacting components or parts, which means that if one part of the machine moves, the other parts of the machine also moves in tandem. Machines generally take in one form of energy and it converts it to a more desirable form of energy. Lastly, it is easy to identify a machine. All we have to look for is a gear system within the machine. Here are some examples. We have a sewing machine. We have a windmill which converts the kinetic energy of the air into electrical energy. Then we also have an example in the harvesting machine. Next, we are moving on to mechanism. A mechanism is a device. It is a system-like arrangement and it is mostly manually operated. It provides force or motion as output, and almost all the time mechanisms work on the principles of levers. Here are some examples. The Traditional padlock is a mechanism. We operate it manually and it has a lever system inside. The example of a pair of scissors is a little confusing. Many people might put it under the category of tools, but because it has a fulcrum in the center, it comes under the class of mechanism, and the same applies for a stapler too. Moving on to the sixth class category of the engine. An engine is a device. It is again mechanical in nature, like the machine. It converts heat to mechanical energy most specifically, and it provides power to push something. It is a subset of machines, which means that all engines are machines, but all machines are not engines. Here is an example. We have the locomotive, and we also have the engine of a car or a bus or a truck. Next, we are moving to appliances. An appliance is a device which is first of all labor saving in nature. It is mostly used within the four walls of a house or an office. It provides a lot of creature comfort, and most importantly, it runs on electricity. Here are some examples. We have the air conditioner. The electric bulb also comes under the category of appliances, and we have the microwave oven here. The next one I'm going to be talking about is the gadget. Now, the gadget is a device. First of all, it is electronic in nature, which means it is chip enabled. Next, it has to be portable and it should have a luxury value. In the past, a television would have been a gadget. But given the size of gadget in today's time, a television or a desktop has stopped being a gadget. So let us take some examples of gadget. Here is a GoPro camera. We have a MP3 player, and here are the smartwatches that are prevalent these days. Moving on to the last category in this section is a device. A device is a generic term to be used rarely. Only when you cannot find any other word which fits into your definition should you fall back upon the word device. Now, this word device only works when used with a qualifier. By a qualifier, I mean an adjective, which can be, say, electronic, electric, or mechanical. So here is an example. It is difficult to put a calculator into a class. So at times we can refer to the calculator as an electronic device, mostly because it is chip enabled. Here is an elevator. An elevator is a machine, but you can also refer to it as a mechanical device. So the word device is just a fail-safe possibility only when you do not have any other words that come to your mind. Moving on, now I'll be talking about the digital era, and here I'll be talking about a list of class words used in the present times. The first one is hardware. It is a physical component which is electronic in nature. It performs analog or logical operations and is directed by software to execute any kind of command. Now, here is an example. We have a chip here, a microchip, which might be a part of the motherboard, the internal hardware of your computer. Then here we have a printer, which is an output hardware. And here we have a laptop or a keyboard, which can be considered as input hardware. The next one is software. Software are a set of instructions which are, first of all, stored in the hardware, and then it helps to run the same hardware where it is stored. It transforms inputs into outputs. Here are some examples. We have operating systems and we have programming, which comes under software. The next one I'm going to be talking about is an application. An application is also a software that performs a specific task. It is only used by end users, and it is a subset of software, which means that all applications are software, but all software are not necessarily applications. The first one is McAfee, the second one is Autodesk Sketchbook, and the third one is Photoshop. Next, I'm going to be talking about a virtual platform. Now, virtual platform is a system which allows different applications to run on it under the same environment, and it allows the users to access these systems through the internet. A very good example would be Zoom, and we also have Google Classroom. The last one in the digital category that I'll be talking on is a cloud. A cloud is a server, or to put it very simply, is storage that can be accessed through the internet. It provides IT services such as storage, access to different databases, computing power, etc. I have three examples here. We have Microsoft Azure, then we have Amazon Web Services, and the last one is Google Cloud Platform. Now, I'm sure there are a lot more class words in the digital arena, but these are the only 5 that I'm going to be touching on. And with that, I come to the end of this session. For more videos on this topic, please refer to the description box below. And the name of my channel is Dull Talks from a Short Lady. And with that, I will say thank you and bye.